Hi guys, and welcome to episode 1 of Behind the Scenes Drift League GP.
Do you believe in life after love?
So this episode's probably going to be a bit of a boring one for a lot of you, but I just want to explain how the series is going to run, and because I'm trying to target the fans and maybe people that are new to drifting, maybe you're a driver, you want to get into Drift League, or maybe you've never drifted before and you want to get into drifting. This episode I just want to explain the basics, how it works, the class system of Drift League, how the qualifying runs, how the battles are run. But I also want to explain a second idea I want to do for this series. Now, obviously this is the main one, but I also want to do the grassroots stuff. So I'm going to run a second series, behind the scenes grassroots, and we're going to go to the events, Dakota, Joyland, Perrin. I'll try and get up to D-pad at some point, and the events that are smaller, it's just a practice day. Sometimes the pros will come along, but majority of the time it's people like myself that can't afford to run high-end drift car or don't think we've got the skill level to do competition drifting, or if you're just learning. And so the second series is going to be for all that behind the scenes. Again, I want to do the same sort of thing where I'm going to go around, talk to drivers building their cars, talk to drivers at the events, maybe get some passenger rides with them. Just get as much information out there for everyone about drifting. So first off, I'm Skippy. I've been involved in drifting since about 2010-ish. I've got a little bit of time on track myself in various cars. At the moment I have a E46 325 Touring, which is in pieces on my driveway. I will do an episode about my own car at some point, and you'll get to see all that. A lot of the time I've been going around to events as a spotter, pit crew, even just a spectator, but I tend to get myself a bit more involved as and where I can. Drifting is a big part of my life, along with aircraft. That's the two biggest parts of my life. I mean, you can see here in the video, back here, model aircraft that I've built out of wood. I've got Hot Wheel cars everywhere, clothing, toys, models, DVDs, everything to do with aircraft and drifting. I'd like to think I know quite a lot of people within the drift scene. I did get a comment made to me not long ago at an event of, bloody hell Scott, you know everyone, or everyone knows you. And so that's the reason I kind of felt like it was a good idea for me to try and do this, is because I do talk to a lot of people who do the competition stuff. Gordon, who runs Drift League, I've known him for years, back when he actually competed in the Retro Drift Challenge that at the time was run by Stiggy. And so with this contact base, I thought I'd try and utilise it as much as possible. Now, I'm not going to force drivers to talk to me. Obviously some drivers aren't great with interviews. For any of you that watched the BDC when it was a thing, Matt Walker, the Cat Man, his interviews were always fantastic. It usually revolved around him hissing and running around, or being extremely blunt. I'll try and talk to as many drivers as I can, if not between events, for time issues or transport issues or whatever reason, at the actual events, I am hoping to be able to talk to as many drivers as I can, as well as their pit crew, supporters, fans. You know, the fans are there. They're as much a part of drifting as the drivers are. So I'll try and talk to some fans if I can. Now you're gonna have to bear with me a bit. This whole vlogging, filming myself, talking to myself is quite new to me, and it's weird. Many outtakes, but I'm gonna try my best and hopefully create a rather good series or 2 series to help everyone learn about drifting, behind the scenes of drifting, how to get into it, and so let's get on with it. So first of all, what is drifting? Well, there's many ways to describe drifting. One that sticks out in my head is Shane Lynch on Loose Women. He described it as a ballet with cars. It's essentially taking a car out of control and controlling it. You want to get the car sideways, you want big angle, you want speed, smoke, style points. When it comes to competition drifting though, there's set guidelines, if you like, for what makes a good drift. Now, that will be clip points. So on a track, you will have inside and outside clip points. An outside clip point, you want to get your rear tyres as much into that clip point as possible for maximum points. On an inside clip point, you want to get your front tyres inside that clip point as much as possible for maximum points. You'll then be judged on your line, so how you flow between each clip point. You want to keep it smooth, no corrections. You've got an angle, you want to keep it on that same angle, and then transition nicely back round, nice big angle for the other way around. And when it comes to competitions, some comps will run how they judge it slightly different. Last night we were watching Formula Drift Long Beach round 1, the 20th anniversary. For those who don't know, Formula Drift is the American, it's a high level American drift championship, and they have brought in an X factor. So part of their judging is having this X factor: smoke, angle, big, sharp, sort of quick transitions from side to side. You know, just as style points more than anything. Style points can, with some competitions, just be included into it. It's not a big separate thing. But really it's how you drive. That's what judges are looking for. Like I said, they want you on that line, they want you in your clip points. For qualifying, they will tell you in the morning, for driver briefing, what they're looking for. They usually have a map of the circuit. They will show where the clip points are, clip points numbered, and they will tell you how they want you to put the car, where the angle should be biggest, where you can shallow up slightly, where you can brake, where you should be on full throttle the whole way through. And so qualifying, which will consist of 2 runs normally, will be your best of 2 in terms of points, and the points usually awarded out of 100. So that will be staying online, the clip points, the speed, if you're doing what the judges asked you in the driver briefing. The closer to the 100 you get, obviously the better, and the higher up the ranking you would be. Most events usually hold over 2 days. Obviously we are predominantly looking at Drift League, and this year, because they are running 2 classes, they're running 2 days. Nice long weekend. So the Saturday will consist of the morning and a part of the afternoon as practice. All the drivers going out either by themselves or 2 at a time to get used to the track, get a feel for the car, test the car, just practice that qualifying line as such. Or if they're going out to pairs, some will practice for battles. They try and get as close as they can. And then Saturday afternoon you have qualifying. So first of all you have class 2 qualifying. So class 2 is either lower powered cars or maybe people that are quite new to competition drifting. Don't want to go against the big boys. They're 1,000 horsepower whips. They're not all 1,000, but quite a few. But yeah, so class 2, newer guys to it. The guys that don't feel competent enough to go up against the big boys, BDC drivers, people that have been doing it for years, you know. It's just a sort of a taster, a feeder sort of class to get you in. Then you've got class 1. Class 1, the guys have been drifting for years. A lot of them used to compete in the British Drift Championship before that went under. They've competed in, say, the European Championship, EMEC. Don't think we have any Formula Drift drivers yet. But you know, it's just guys that are on point, know their car, know drifting extremely well. Been around for a long time, as I say. You know, there's class 1, big powered cars as well. We've got a few that run up 1,000 horsepower, 700, 600 seems to be sort of average. And then you've got people who have lower horsepower, but know their car well. So you've got Matt Smith, who has, in terms of the engine, pretty standard M3 engine in his E46. It's only roughly 300 horsepower. And he's, you know, the last event, round 1, he went up against Hayden, who has 1,000 horsepower in his Chaser. And Matt kept up with him. You know, 300 horsepower, 1,000 horsepower. So, one thing you need to get across with drifting is it's not all about power. It's great having big power, but you need to make sure that your car can grip that power to push you fast enough. So if you've got 1,000 horsepower and really bad tyres and bad setups, there's no grip, your tyres are just going to spin and spin. You're not going to go anywhere. So yeah, that's one thing I do want to sort of cover over this series, is having the right setup. So talking to some of the drivers, hopefully we get an idea of the sort of setups they run and how they find their grip to put their power down. So Saturday, obviously, class 2 qualifying, best of 2 runs. Class 1 qualifying, best of 2 runs. Then that'd be it for Saturday. Saturday night, have a few drinks, have some barbecues, socialise, sort of stuff that I've created this series to show you all. The stuff you don't see on live streams and videos and stuff as much. So, you know, we have a great social time Saturday night. Quite a lot of people camp at the track, which is brilliant, because then you have a few drinks, get a bit merry, have a brilliant time, meet new people, make new friends. Just, especially now we've got the older beacon stoves. I do love my freebies, as you can tell. So they've got a nice little stand. As I said in my intro video, you know, we just all gathered there, had a few drinks, gathered around the stoves, socialised, sat on benches. It was a fantastic time. So then you wake up Sunday morning, they have a bit more practice. Again, mixed classes, everyone's just going out together. Class 1, class 2, don't matter, on track, practice. Then after lunch, class 2 will have their battles. Now, the way battles are decided, to a lot of people now, they're going to be like, well, that makes no sense at all. But the way the battles run, which I'll explain in a minute, you'll understand a bit more why they do it this way. So what happens is you get your first place qualifier and your last place qualifier. They go against each other. Now, battles are usually, as long as you've got enough drivers, top 32. So the 32 highest qualifiers go through to battles. If you're below 32, that's your weekend done, sadly. Most drivers will stay around and watch and support still, because that's what we do. So, yeah, first battle will be first place qualifier, 32nd place qualifier. Second battle will be second place qualifier against 31st place qualifier. And it just works its way down like that. So now a lot of you who don't really know are going to be like, well, how's that fair? You're putting the best drifter against what is technically the worst drifter. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you could qualify last because your car broke and you managed to fix it overnight. As long as you put a score on the board and you're in that top 32, you're through to battles. So, you get your first battles. Class 1, Class 2, it doesn't matter. All runs the same. So, your highest qualifier and your 32nd qualifier line up on the start line. And there's 2 runs to a battle. You get a lead run and a chase run. Now let's go off the assumption of a lead qualifier has a big, powerful, fast car, lots of grip, set up perfectly, great driver, and the 32nd qualifier not so well set up, maybe a bit slow, not so competent. They will be sent off by the start line marshal. There'll be a little chicane of cones at the front. The idea of this is not a drag race off the start line. The lead driver has to go around this chicane. The chase driver just goes straight, so it gives the chase driver time to keep up with the lead driver as they're off the start line and down towards the first corner. The initiation zone. The driver goes, chase driver goes, they initiate at a set point. They are told they need to initiate by a certain point. If you do not get your car sideways, whether it be Scandinavian flick, bit of weight shifting, or on the hydro, depend again, the judges will tell you what they want. Some tracks they will tell you that hydro initiation on this initiation point, for whatever reason, or we don't want to see you using your hydro to initiate, we want to see big flicks, weight shifting, clutch kicks, whatever. So both drivers run down. Going off the assumption we've said that the first place qualifier's got a faster, grippier car, chances are by the time they get to initiation point, he's going to have a bit of a lead. There's going to be a bit of a gap there. They're going to initiate into the first clip through the initiation zone, and they're going to do their qualifying line. Lead driver needs to do that perfect qualifying line. That's all he is worried about, or she, all they are worried about is doing this perfect qualifying line. The chase driver, they want to mirror image the lead car as well as getting as close to them as possible, their proximity. This is how they earn their points, is mirror imaging the lead car and the proximity. Some can get away with small dives to make up that bit of ground. Normally in race battles, chase driver has a bit more of an advantage. They can get a bit more points really, because lead driver is just doing his qualifying line, whereas chase driver gets the extra points for the mirror imaging. They get the extra points for being close. So usually a chase driver has an advantage, but it's not always the case. In our assumption case, the lead driver has got an advantage. He's got a faster car, he knows the track better, he can pull away and create this massive gap that chase drivers just can't keep up with. So they do it, they go around the circuit to whatever track we're at. I mean, let's just use Pembury for an example. So there's a few corners, they get to the end, cross the finish line. Then points are awarded. Now, the way the point system works for most competitions is it's a 10-point system. But it's not a case of lead driver out of 10, chase driver out of 10. It's 10 overall for the entire run. So, in our case, lead driver has had a nice qualifying run. He's got himself quite far ahead. Chase driver's been quite far behind. He's kept a good line. They do say if you drop too far back, just do your qualifying line. You still get points. And then the judges are going to award them. So overall it's going to be a 6-4, let's say, because overall for the run, both drivers together out these 10 points. So the advantage goes to the lead driver. So he's got 6. And then because it's out of 10, chase driver, he's got 4. So the first run is a 6-4 score. So that's the advantage to the lead driver. But then, to make it fair with drifting, we swap them around. So now, the guy with the slower car, not so competent, he's going to lead. And then, the guy with the faster, grippier car, he's going to chase. And this is why drifting, anything can happen. Because now we can imagine, you've got all this power in your car, all this grip, but it's not a race. You're not overtaking them. You have to stay behind them. And so this is where your skill comes in. So again, you know, with the slower car, he's running down through the chicane. Chase driver's trying to hold back a bit. Initiate into the first corner. Now, the chances are, first corner, this big powerful car, he's going to be on you. He's going to be on your door. But he's going to struggle to keep himself back there. He's going to be using a lot of left foot braking, maybe a lot on the hydro. Stuff like this can deduct you points. Again, it's depending on the judges, what they want. A lot of them be like, stay off the one for pretty much the whole run. So if they can see your rear wheels locking up, because you're trying to stay behind this slower car, you're losing points. So this can throw the spanner in the works quite a lot. And this is why they do it this way. Also, the idea is that doing it first versus 32nd, second versus 31st, is they have a battle tree. And so the winner of each battle, it goes along till you get to the middle of the battle tree. Example, hopefully I'm showing you. In the middle of this battle tree, you got your finalist. And hopefully, the way it's planned to work is it should be your first qualifier versus your second qualifier. So it's a nice tight battle. It's the two best drifters or the two most powerful cars, or however it's worked out. They'll be against each other in the final for a nice exciting final. For any of you that have watched round 1 of Formula Drift or have watched drift in the past will know that this doesn't always happen. In fact, it rarely actually happens. Something happens, there's a crash, people get 10 zeros, they lose, spinning, crashing, car breaks, they just screw up. Anything can happen, it's drifting. So the final could be anyone, really. And that's one of the big reasons it makes drifting exciting, and why we all love it so much. So the point system, the 10, there was 6-4 as was in our example. Obviously you can get a 9-1 if you say the chase driver was miles behind, he was offline, he was just really bad, and the lead driver was out in front. Perfect. It's going to be a 9-1. Now 10-0 or a 0-10, because they do it, as in lead driver, chase driver, So you can get a 0-10 or you can get a 10-0. A 10-0 will come if someone spins or crashes, causes a crash, causes an unchaseable line. They could be all over the track. So the lead driver is too shallow. He's off the clip line points. He's well off the racing line. The chase driver cannot chase it. Will come through as a 0-10. So it's come down as a 0-10 or a 10-0. That is clearly advantage to whoever's got the 10. The only way you're going to come back from that is to throw over another 10-0 or 0-10. So what will happen then is let's say the lead driver spun, chase driver managed to get past and carry on. It's a 0-10. It's not a lead driver, it's a chase driver, and he's sitting on the 0 and he's chasing someone that's sat on 10. He needs that to overturn. He needs him to mess up. So he's going to put pressure on him. He's going to try and get as close as he can and pressure that lead driver to make a mistake so he can overthrow that 0-10. Happens. It does happen sometimes. Not a lot. It depends on the driver. It depends on the circumstance. You know, anything can happen. You hear it a lot in drifting is anything can happen, and it usually does. So we're going to say that it got overthrown. So both runs ended up a 0-10 or a 10-0. Or we're going to say that maybe both runs were a 5-5. They were two perfect runs. Both drivers, bang on. Couldn't tell them apart, both runs. Absolutely perfect. So you got a 5-5. Or both runs end up a 6-4. You know, whatever. So it ends up, after both runs, equal score. However the scoring is, it's equal score. You can't tell who won that one. So we get a one more time. OMT, one more time. Which is exactly what it says in the tin. They do it again. Both runs. Do it again. I'm trying to determine a winner. With Drift League, I can't say I'm sure at the moment. Some competitions will do 3 one more times and then a sudden death run. Just one run. Some will do one more run. So it's just literally a case of one lap, try and decide a winner. I do know they do one more times at Drift League. We had a couple the other weekend at Pembury, so we are doing one more times. Not sure if they're doing a maximum of 3 and then a sudden death or what. We'll see when it comes to it. I hope this video has been somewhat helpful and given you an idea of what to expect from this series, as well as just a basic bit of information on how Drift League works, competition drifting works, and just an idea. One thing that I'm going to be throwing in the mix when it comes to interviewing the drivers is viewer questions. Now the idea is you ain't gonna know who I'm interviewing until the time comes, so it needs to be generic questions, but we don't want stupid stuff. How much horsepower has your car got? You're going to find this stuff out. You know, how long you've been drifting? You're going to find it out. This is the sort of standard questions that are gonna get asked. But is there anything more specific? A couple of examples I've been given so far is, do you listen to music in the car? Or do you have some sort of quote or something you do just to pep yourself when you're sat on a line about to battle someone? This or that question seemed to be quite a popular one. So if you've got any suggestions that you want these drivers to answer, comment them, message me, whatever. I've got a nice little list I'm writing up, and so yeah, any suggestions are welcome. If they're stupid, I'll ignore them. well, yeah. If there are any specific questions you have for certain drivers, message them as well. And maybe at the events, I'll get a few words with them and I can ask them these specific questions. You know, just message me. So if any drivers, whether it be competitors of Drift League GB or grassroots stuff, and you would like me to come and visit you and give us a tour of your car, let us know a bit about yourself, anything like that, give me a shout, give me a message on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever else, and I will try my best to arrange to see as many of you as possible. I am based in Devon. Devon guys are going to be easier for me to see at the moment, but like I said, even if it's at events, you know, I'm planning to get to all the Drift League events this year and what grassroots events I can. So even if I meet you at an event and we can have a chat there, just give me a shout. I look forward to hearing from the drivers and making more videos for you. We have round 2 of Drift League on the 5th and 6th of May up at Three Sisters. Get along, come watch, come meet the drivers. It's an open pit thing. You can come in, you can see the drivers, you can talk to the drivers, you can see their cars, get pictures, whatever else. Say hi to me, let me know that you're watching. And I hope to see you there. Please like and subscribe.
Do you believe in life after love?